Anxiety is not the enemy, it is the messenger. It arises to show you that your mind has wandered too far into the world of what-ifs. You see, the storms you fear most are rarely the ones that actually arrive. The truth is simple yet powerful. 90% of what you worry about will never happen, but still you suffer as if it already has. The 90% rule is a reminder to wake up, to see that the majority of your fears exist only in imagination, not in reality. Once you understand this truth, anxiety loses its power and peace begins to return home to your heart. When you feel anxious, the first instinct is to believe that something outside of you is wrong. You look for reasons, situations, people, uncertainty, responsibilities, and the mind rushes to find meaning behind the tension you feel. But the truth is, anxiety rarely comes from what is happening around you. It comes from what is happening inside you. The mind is a creator, a storyteller, and a master of illusion. It can take the smallest spark of uncertainty and build an entire world of fear around it. And because the mind is powerful, that world feels real. Your body reacts as if you were in danger, even when nothing is happening. You see, the mind is not the enemy. It tries to protect you. It constantly scans for threats, even in places where none exist. It does not distinguish between imagination and reality. When you think of failure, rejection, or loss, your mind projects these possibilities like a movie, and your body responds as if you were living that movie right now. Your heart beats faster, your muscles tense, and your breath becomes shallow. But if you stop and observe, you will notice that most of what you are reacting to exists only in your thoughts. The moment you understand this, you begin to see the illusion clearly. You realize that what you are fearing is not life. It is your imagination. The 90% rule is simple, yet profoundly powerful. 90% of what causes your anxiety never actually happens. The mind spends its energy building fears that never come true, but you experience them as if they were already unfolding. You live through pain that doesn't exist. You rehearse failure that never arrives. You prepare for judgment that no one is giving you. This is how the mind creates suffering. It pulls you into imagined futures and convinces you that they are real. The longer you stay in that loop, the more distant you become from reality, from presence, and from peace. The key is not to fight the mind. You cannot stop thoughts from arising. The more you resist them, the stronger they become. Instead, you must learn to see them for what they are, projections, not truth. The mind creates thoughts like clouds form in the sky. You cannot control when they appear, but you can choose how long you let them stay. When a thought arises, you can either grab it and make it your reality, or you can watch it drift by without attachment. The second choice is where freedom begins. Imagine sitting quietly, and suddenly a thought appears. What if I fail? You notice it. You feel your body tense. The old habit is to dive into that story, thinking about how, when, and why you might fail. But instead, pause. Look at that thought like you would look at a passing cloud. It came, and it will go. You don't need to fight it, and you don't need to believe it. The more you practice this, the more you realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. You are the sky, not the cloud. Most people never question the voice in their head. They assume that if they think it, it must be true. But this is where illusion takes control. The mind tells you stories that feel familiar, safe, and logical even when they're harmful. You're not ready. You're not good enough. You might fail. These are not truths. They are echoes of old fears, formed from past experiences or conditioned beliefs. They replay again and again because you've listened to them for too long. The moment you start to question them, really question them, they begin to lose their grip. Ask yourself, is this real right now? More often than not, the answer will be no. The power of this awareness cannot be overstated. When you stop believing every story your mind tells, your inner world changes. The noise begins to fade. The thoughts may still come, but they no longer shake you. You see them, you smile at them, and you let them go. You no longer drown in the river of thought. You stand on the bank and watch the current pass. This simple shift in perception changes everything. Anxiety loses its fuel. It can no longer grow in the light of awareness because its power depends on your attention. The next time you feel anxious, don't rush to escape it. Instead, pause and ask yourself, what is real right now? Feel your feet on the ground, the breath moving in and out of your body, the space around you. Notice that in this exact moment, there is no danger. You are safe. The fear you feel is not from reality. It's from your mind's projection of what might happen next. The more you return to the present, the less control those projections have over you. This practice does not mean you will never have anxious thoughts again. It means they will no longer rule you. You will still have moments of uncertainty, but they will pass like ripples instead of storms. You will begin to trust that your awareness is stronger than your imagination, that no matter what the mind creates, you have the power to see through it. Awareness is the beginning of freedom. It is the light that reveals what has always been hidden in the dark corners of the mind. Most people live their lives completely absorbed by their thoughts, carried away by them without ever realizing what is happening. They wake up thinking, they eat while thinking, they even walk and breathe while thinking. Their minds are constantly busy, replaying the past, imagining the future, worrying about things that haven't happened. And within that constant mental noise, anxiety thrives. But anxiety cannot survive once you start seeing it clearly. The moment awareness enters, illusion begins to dissolve. You see, the mind is like a river that never stops flowing. Thoughts come and go endlessly. You cannot stop this flow, nor should you try to. The problem is not the river itself, but the fact that we jump into it and let it carry us wherever it wants. We become so identified with the current that we forget who we are. Awareness is the act of stepping out of that river, standing on the shore, and simply watching it move. When you observe your thoughts without reacting, you begin to understand that you are not the thoughts. You are the one who sees them. In moments of anxiety, awareness is your greatest ally. When fear arises, most people immediately get lost in it. They start analyzing, resisting, or running away from the feeling. But awareness allows you to pause. It gives you a small space between you and the thought. In that space, you gain clarity. You start to see how a single idea, I might fail, they might judge me, something could go wrong, can spiral into endless worry if left unchecked. But the moment you see the pattern, the illusion weakens. Because awareness is like light. It doesn't need to fight darkness. It simply reveals what's real. When you watch anxiety with awareness, you'll notice something interesting. The thoughts seem powerful at first, but when you simply observe them without reacting, they start to fade. They lose energy because you are no longer feeding them with attention. Awareness breaks the cycle that anxiety depends on, the habit of unconscious thinking. The mind creates anxiety through repetition by telling the same fearful stories again and again. Awareness ends that repetition by introducing stillness, by saying, wait, let me see what is really happening here. This does not mean that awareness instantly makes fear disappear. No, it allows you to experience it differently. When you watch the feeling instead of resisting it, you see that it's just a movement of energy in the body, a tightening in the chest, a quickening of the breath, a rush of thoughts. That's all. Awareness transforms fear from a monster into a sensation. And once you see it that way, you realize it cannot truly harm you. It's simply energy passing through, waiting to be noticed and released. Most people believe they must control their minds to find peace. But peace does not come from control. It comes from clarity. Control creates tension. Clarity brings ease. The mind will always produce thoughts. That is its nature. But awareness reminds you that you are not the servant of those thoughts. You can watch them, understand them, and decide which ones deserve your energy. This is not suppression. It is mastery. You are learning to live with your mind instead of against it. The practice of awareness begins with small steps. Take a moment each day to pause and simply notice. Notice the rhythm of your breath, the sounds around you, the sensations in your body. When a thought appears, don't fight it or follow it. Just acknowledge it. There you are. Then return to your breath. You will find that the more you practice this, the quieter the mind becomes. Not because the thoughts stop, but because you stop chasing them. The less you chase, the more peace you feel. When awareness grows strong, you begin to notice patterns that once went unseen. You see how one small doubt leads to another, how fear feeds on imagination, and how anxiety always tries to pull you into a future that does not exist. But now, instead of getting lost in that future, you stay present. You start to live more deeply in each moment. Awareness does not remove life's challenges, but it removes the suffering created by your own mind. There will be times when your awareness slips, when anxiety takes hold again, and that's all right. Each time you notice it, gently bring yourself back. Awareness is not perfection. It is practice. Every time you return to observing, you strengthen the muscle of presence. Over time, it becomes natural. You begin to carry awareness with you everywhere. In your speech, in your actions, in your silence. You start to see the beauty in simply being here. Now, anxiety cannot exist in a mind that is fully aware, because awareness exposes it for what it is, a passing cloud in the vastness of consciousness. When you live from awareness, thoughts still come, but they no longer disturb the peace within you. You learn to let them arise, to let them pass, and to remain still in between. In this stillness, you discover something profound. The peace you were searching for was never missing. It was only hidden beneath layers of unawareness. One of the greatest misunderstandings people have about anxiety is the belief that it must be fought or resisted. The moment you feel discomfort, the instinct is to escape, to fix it, control it, or make it disappear. But what you resist only grows stronger. Anxiety feeds on resistance. It thrives on the energy of your struggle against it. The harder you push it away, the more power it gains. The more you fear it, the more real it becomes in your experience. But there is another way, one that may seem counterintuitive at first. It is the way of acceptance. Acceptance does not mean that you enjoy anxiety or want it to stay forever. It means that you allow yourself to feel what is already there. Without running, without judging, without hiding. You give yourself permission to experience the moment fully, even if it's uncomfortable. When you stop fighting, you stop feeding the very thing that drains your strength. You start to see anxiety for what it is, a wave of energy, a temporary movement in your inner world. And like every wave, it rises, it peaks, and it fades. When you resist, you are caught in the wave, tossed around by it. But when you accept, you rise above it. You stop being the person drowning in the storm and become the observer of the sea. This shift changes everything. It transforms the way you relate to fear. You no longer see it as an enemy, but as a message, a signal that your mind and body are out of balance. Acceptance gives you the space to listen to that message instead of being consumed by it. Often, the reason we suffer is not because of what we feel, but because we believe we should not be feeling it. We label anxiety as wrong, as weakness, as something that must be eliminated. But emotions are not mistakes, they are teachers. Anxiety may be showing you that you are carrying too much, that you are trying to control what is beyond your reach, or that you are disconnected from the present moment. When you accept its presence, you open the door to understanding it. Only through understanding can transformation begin. Acceptance is an act of courage. It means standing in front of your fear and saying, I see you, and I will no longer run from you. The moment you do this, the fear loses its grip. It cannot control you anymore, because you are no longer giving it the energy of resistance. This is not surrender in the sense of giving up. It is surrender in the sense of seeing things clearly. You are no longer trying to change what already is. You are meeting reality as it is. And in that meeting, you find peace. Imagine a person holding a rope, pulling with all their strength in a game of tug-of-war. On the other end of the rope is their anxiety. The more they pull, the more the tension grows. The rope burns their hands, and exhaustion sets in. But what happens if they let go? The tension vanishes, not because the opponent disappeared, but because the struggle stopped. This is the power of acceptance. When you stop pulling, the energy of anxiety has nowhere to go. It begins to dissolve naturally. Acceptance does not remove responsibility. It enhances it. When you stop fighting anxiety, you begin to take wiser action. You listen to your body's needs. You rest when you must. You breathe deeper. You speak kindly to yourself. You make choices from clarity rather than fear. The mind becomes quiet enough for intuition to speak. This is how acceptance transforms fear into strength. You begin to live not in reaction, but in awareness. Over time, as you practice acceptance, something profound takes place. The same feelings that once caused panic now become signals that you can meet with calmness. You no longer see anxiety as a threat to be destroyed, but as an invitation to return to balance. You realize that emotions are not obstacles. They are pathways to understanding yourself more deeply. And in that understanding, you find freedom. The path to peace does not begin with resistance. It begins with allowing. It begins when you stop running from what you feel and choose, instead to face it with open eyes and an open heart. Because what you fully allow, you eventually outgrow. There is a simple truth many people overlook: anxiety is not created by life itself. It is created by your relationship with life. It is not the noise around you that disturbs you. It is the way you interpret that noise. The mind loves to control, to plan, to predict, to secure everything before it happens. It wants certainty in an uncertain world. But life is not meant to be controlled, it is meant to be experienced. The more you try to control every outcome, every emotion, every thought, the more you tighten the chains around yourself. The desire for total control is the silent fuel of anxiety. Anxiety arises when the mind fears losing control. It begins to project endless possibilities. What could go wrong? What might happen? What someone might say or think? It paints pictures of the future and convinces you that danger is near. And because the body cannot distinguish between imagination and reality, it reacts as if those fears are happening right now. The heart races, the breath shortens, the muscles tense, all because the mind refuses to let go. But the truth is, no one has ever controlled life. You can influence it, you can guide it, but you can never fully own it. To live without anxiety, you must learn the art of surrender, not surrender as defeat, but as trust. Trust that life will unfold as it should. Trust that even when things seem uncertain, you will find your way. Trust that the same intelligence that causes the sun to rise and the seasons to change also moves through your life. This trust is not blind. It is born from awareness, from seeing that control is an illusion that only exhausts you. When you let go of trying to control the uncontrollable, a deep calmness enters. You begin to live in flow instead of in constant struggle. Letting go does not mean giving up responsibility. It means doing your best and releasing the outcome. It means showing up fully in this moment and allowing life to do the rest. Many people live as if they must push the river to make it flow. But the river does not need your effort. It only asks that you stop standing in its way. The same applies to life. The more you allow it to move naturally, the more ease you will feel. Anxiety fades not when life becomes easier, but when you stop demanding it to always go your way. Think of how often the mind argues with reality. Something happens, and immediately the mind says, "This should not be like this." That resistance creates tension. You are no longer aligned with the present moment, you are fighting it. Every time you do this, you create a gap between what is and what you wish it were. And in that gap, anxiety grows. But if you can learn to say, "This is what is happening now," you close that gap. You return to presence. You stop giving power to things outside your control and start reclaiming the only place where peace can exist here and now. Letting go is not a single act. It is a continuous practice. It means noticing when your mind tightens around an idea, a fear, a memory, or a desire, and then gently loosening that grip. It means choosing to trust life again and again, even when you don't have all the answers. The ego resists this because it believes safety lies in control. But real safety lies in awareness, not control. Awareness gives you the ability to respond wisely to whatever happens, rather than panic over what might happen. Control can fail you, awareness cannot. When you release the need to control, something unexpected happens, you gain strength. The same energy that was once spent worrying, planning, and fearing begins to return to you. Your mind becomes lighter. You start to notice beauty in the small things again. The sound of the wind, the rhythm of your breath, the feeling of simply being alive. You begin to live directly, not through the constant filter of what if. That is true freedom. The paradox of letting go is that it gives you back what you were always searching for: clarity, balance, and confidence. When you are no longer imprisoned by the need to manipulate every situation, you act more naturally, more authentically. You make better decisions, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. You learn to flow with the rhythm of life rather than against it. This is the state where peace is no longer something you chase. It becomes your natural resting place. So when anxiety comes, don't ask, how do I control this? Ask instead, what am I holding on to that I can release? Maybe it's the desire for perfection. Maybe it's the fear of the unknown. Maybe it's the belief that you must always be in charge. Whatever it is, see it clearly, breathe into it, and gently let it go. Every time you release something, no matter how small, you reclaim a piece of your peace. Awareness, acceptance, and letting go are not destinations, they are practices. But practice means nothing if you do not take it into your daily life. Many people believe that inner peace will come when their circumstances change, when the job is stable, the relationship improves, or when life becomes simpler. But peace is not found in a perfect situation. Peace is found in your ability to stay centered no matter what situation arises. This is why integration is so important. You must take what you learn in moments of calm and apply it in moments of chaos. True mastery begins not in stillness, but in motion. Anyone can feel peaceful sitting on a mountain, far from distraction. But can you stay calm when someone criticizes you? Can you breathe deeply when your plans fall apart? Can you remain clear when life moves faster than you expected? That is where your practice is tested. Every moment of discomfort is an invitation to bring your awareness back, to remember your strength, to choose presence instead of reaction. The purpose of this inner work is not to escape life, but to meet it fully with an open and steady heart. Integration means turning daily life into your training ground. Every challenge, every setback, every difficult conversation becomes an opportunity to grow. When you wake up anxious in the morning, instead of fighting it, you can breathe and remind yourself that this is another chance to observe your mind. When you feel overwhelmed, you can pause, place your attention on your breath, and return to the now. These small acts are not minor. They are the foundation of transformation. Through repetition, you train the mind to respond differently. What once caused panic begins to feel lighter, because you no longer feed it with resistance or fear. The key is consistency. One moment of awareness can bring clarity, but sustained awareness builds strength. The same way a muscle grows through daily training, your inner calm grows each time you return to presence. It doesn't matter how many times you lose it. What matters is how many times you come back. This coming back again and again reshapes the nervous system, rewires the patterns of fear, and creates a deep sense of stability that no external event can shake. To integrate peace into your life, you must also redefine what success means to you. Many people live in constant anxiety because their minds are always measuring progress through results, how much they've achieved, how much they own, how far ahead they are compared to others. But this mindset keeps you trapped in tension, always chasing something beyond your reach. Real success is not about control or competition. It's about alignment. It's about living in harmony with what truly matters to you. When your actions, words, and thoughts align with your values, anxiety loses its grip because there is no inner conflict. Each day, take moments to reconnect with yourself. It could be a short walk without your phone, a few slow breaths before you speak, or a simple pause to notice the sounds around you. These are not empty acts. They are reminders of who you are beneath the noise. The more you do this, the more naturally peace becomes your default state. You stop waiting for quiet environments to feel calm because calmness begins to come from within you. Integration also means being kind to yourself. Growth is not a straight line. Some days will feel clear and light, and others will feel heavy and uncertain. But every moment counts. Even when you feel like you've failed, you are still learning. You are still practicing awareness. You are still training your mind to see clearly. The greatest transformation happens when you stop judging your journey and start trusting it. When you live with awareness, acceptance, and the ability to let go, anxiety no longer defines your life. It may still arise, but it will not control you. You begin to live from a place of calm alertness, present but not passive, peaceful but still strong. The outside world does not need to change for you to feel at ease, because you have found stability within yourself. This is what true freedom feels like, not the absence of challenges, but the absence of resistance toward them. Integration is the bridge between understanding and transformation. You can know every technique, every truth, but until you embody them in the smallest details of your day, they remain words. The goal is not to think about peace, it is to live it, to embody stillness when things move fast, to listen deeply when others speak with anger, to stay grounded when life throws uncertainty your way. That is real mastery. You will know you are integrating your practice when peace no longer feels like something you must create, but something that simply flows through you. You no longer chase calmness, you express it. You no longer avoid discomfort, you learn from it. And slowly, the balance between your inner and outer world becomes natural. The more you live like this, the more you see that anxiety was never an enemy. It was a teacher guiding you back to yourself. Every moment of fear, every wave of tension was pointing toward one truth, that peace has always been within you. It was only waiting for you to remember. There comes a point in your journey when you begin to see that the goal was never to eliminate anxiety, but to transcend it. You start to realize that anxiety is not something broken within you. It is a signal, a reminder that you have lost connection to the present moment. The body reacts, the mind races, but beneath it all, there is stillness. That stillness has always been there, untouched by your fears or worries. The challenge is not to create peace, but to return to it again and again until you begin to live from that place naturally. To transcend anxiety means to live with awareness so deep that fear no longer pulls you away from the moment. It means you have trained yourself to observe without judgment, to breathe through discomfort, and to trust life even when you don't understand it. This does not happen overnight. It is the result of steady practice, patience, and deep sincerity. At first, your mind will still run fast. Your emotions will still surge. But every time you return to awareness, even for a few seconds, you strengthen your connection to stillness. Over time, this becomes your foundation. Anxiety may still visit, but it cannot stay, because there is no longer space for it to anchor itself. When you transcend something, you rise above its influence. Imagine standing in a storm. The wind howls, the rain falls hard, and everything seems chaotic. But if you could rise above the clouds, you would see the calm, endless sky that has been there all along. The storm never touched the sky. It only passed through it. In the same way, your awareness is like that sky. Thoughts, emotions, and fears are the passing storms. They may be intense, but they cannot destroy the vastness of who you truly are. When you begin to see this clearly, anxiety loses its authority. You no longer identify with the storm. You rest in the sky. To live from this state means to carry a quiet strength within you. You move through life not with control, but with trust. You face challenges with calmness because you know that nothing is permanent. You speak with intention because you are no longer rushing to be understood. You are grounded in understanding yourself. You act with clarity, not from reaction, but from awareness. And this is how anxiety slowly transforms into wisdom. What once felt like a prison becomes your training ground. Every anxious moment that once brought suffering now becomes a reminder to return to stillness. This shift is subtle but powerful. At first, you may feel moments of peace followed by moments of struggle. That is natural. The goal is not to remain in peace forever. It is to recover faster each time you lose it. To remember that you are not your thoughts, not your emotions, and not your fears. You are the awareness behind them. You begin to live with a gentle confidence, knowing that nothing outside of you has the power to disturb what is inside you unless you allow it. Transcending anxiety is not about becoming emotionless. It is about feeling everything deeply, but not being consumed by anything. You still feel sadness, joy, uncertainty, and excitement, but you are no longer lost in them. You allow emotions to pass through you without holding on. This is what it means to be free, not to escape the human experience, but to live it fully without being trapped by it. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. You stop trying to protect yourself from life, and you start flowing with it. This is also where compassion begins to grow, both for yourself and for others. You begin to see that everyone is fighting a silent battle within. The person who seems calm on the outside may be struggling inside, just like you once did. When you live with awareness, you stop judging and start understanding. You respond with kindness instead of impatience, with patience instead of anger. Anxiety, which once isolated you, now becomes the bridge that connects you with the shared experience of humanity. You understand what it means to be human, to fall, to rise, to fear, and to overcome. Every breath becomes a reminder of your freedom. Every pause becomes a return to the present moment. You no longer live chasing after future outcomes or running from past mistakes. You begin to experience life as it is unfolding now. And this present moment, this simple, quiet now, is where anxiety cannot exist. Anxiety belongs to the mind that lives in tomorrow, but peace belongs to the heart that lives here. The more you live in the now, the less space fear has to survive. Eventually, you stop asking, how do I destroy my anxiety? And begin asking, what can my anxiety teach me? You stop fighting with it and start listening. You realize that anxiety was never against you. It was guiding you back home, back to yourself. It was reminding you to slow down, to breathe, to let go, and to trust. When you finally understand this, gratitude replaces resistance. You are grateful for the lessons, for the storms, for the moments that broke you open, because they revealed the strength you didn't know you had. The 90% rule is not about escaping your thoughts, it's about seeing through them. It's the understanding that most of what you fear has no roots in reality. Once you stop giving power to the illusions, peace is no longer something to chase. It becomes who you are. The mind will always create noise, but when your awareness grows stronger than the noise, you discover a stillness that nothing can shake. That stillness is your true nature. That is where anxiety ends and mastery begins.